This is a debrief of Task 7 from the second sample assessment for Applied Management Accounting. So we're told that Sportronics Limited is a company specialising in providing sporting holidays across the UK. The company has been operating for 6 years and has seen significant increases in its profitability each year. This year, however, a major new competitor entered the market offering similar holidays at a lower price than Sportronics. So Sportronics is now looking at how it can evaluate its performance in this more competitive environment. So I provided this background context for the business, which we'll need to be able to answer the question later on in our evaluation. So the table below shows the measures Sportronics Limited have chosen to use to evaluate performance together with the results of the previous year. And we need to work out what this year's numbers are. So they've given the data for the current year. And what we need to do is, using those data, we need to calculate the various numbers required in Part A. So first of all, it wants the average spend per customer. So the average spend is going to be, well, there's our total sales for the year, and we want to divide by the number of customers. So we take our 5,095,520, divide by 5,756, and that gives us an answer of £885.25. The question wants us to answer to 2 decimal places, and it's important that we follow the instructions because otherwise the software won't be able to recognise your correct answer. So the next one it asks for is the proportion of total customers that are repeat customers. So we're given the data. We're told that the number of new customers is 4,663 and the total number of customers is 5,756. So if we compare these two numbers and work out the difference between them, so 5756 minus 4663 tells us that there are 1,093 repeat customers. And we want that as a percentage of the total, so we divide that by 5756, and that gives us 18.988%. So we want the answer to 2 decimal places, don't we? So that's going to be 18.99. Next, we want the proportion of total destinations offered that are new for the current year. So we're not talking about the new customers now, we're thinking about the new destinations. So we're told that we have 6 new destinations out of a total of 106. So 6 divided by 106 gives us 5.660%. Again, we want to round to 2 decimal places, so that's going to be 5.66. The next performance measure we're asked about are the proportion of total destinations that are available to book on the website. So the table tells us that we can book 66 destinations on the website out of 106. So 66 divided by 106 gives us 62.264%. Again, we want to round to 2 decimal places, so that's going to give us 62.26%. Next, the average customer feedback score out of 5. So we're told that the total feedback scores amount to 25,844, and we just want to divide by the number of customers that there are, and that'll give us our mean score, and that gives us an average of 4.4899. Again, we want to round to 2 decimal places, so that's going to be 4.49. And then the last one on our list is our staff turnover. So we're told that we have lost 7 staff during the year out of a total of 45. So 7 divided by 45 gives us an answer of 15.55555%. We want to round to 2 decimal places, so we can see that the number before the rounding is a 5, and that's enough for us to round up to 15.56. Okay, so there's the performance measures, and then what we need to do in the second part of the question is analyse their performance for the year, making reference to our calculations. So for us to talk about this in our debrief now, what we're going to do is just compare these side by side. Rather than scrolling up and down for the video, which will be a bit difficult for you to watch. So there are the numbers side by side to make it a bit easier for us to talk about in this video. So what's AAT expecting from you in your answer? Well, really, if you want to earn some marks, just try to describe what you see. Okay, that's the easiest thing to start off with. And then what they want you to do is try to suggest some plausible reasons why there's been a movement. So if you look at the average spend per customer, we can see that's gone down from 946 down to 885. So just making that statement in your answer that the average customer spend has reduced is going to get you credit. So why do we think it's reduced? Well, in the scenario, it told us that there was a more competitive environment where we have a new competitor come in and they're offering similar holidays at a lower price. So potentially we've lost customers to this new competitor, but also we may have brought down our prices to be more competitive with this competitor. So reduced customers and reduced prices may be the reason for this. Next then, if we compare the proportion of total customers that are repeat customers, so we can see that this has also fallen. So 27% of our customers were repeat last year, only 19% now. Again, this has gone down, so make that statement. But then why has it gone down? Again, probably due to the new competitor. Next, we're looking at the proportion of total destinations offered that are new. So this has gone up in this case. So this is an improvement, isn't it? So again, it's not necessarily enough just to say it's gone up or gone down. Is it better or worse? Okay, that's a much better comment. So this is a good thing, isn't it? Because if we're offering some new destinations, that's going to be more variety for our customers and they're more likely to stay with us. So that's a positive sign. We're giving our customers more choice. So that's a good thing, isn't it? But having said that, is it the case that customers want to go to new places all the time? Or is it that they find a nice place, they just want to go back there on holiday every year? Next, what is the proportion of our destinations available to book on the website? So this has gone up, and this is an improvement as well, because it's going to be easier for people to book on the website than it is to book manually. So it's making it easier for us to get customers, it's easier for them as well, and potentially it may be able to save us on some of our costs. So that's a good thing. The next thing then is our feedback score. So we can see that that's gone up a little bit, but it was quite good to begin with, wasn't it? Yeah, last year it was 4.44 out of 5, and now it's 4.49. So we've got some good customer feedback here, but nevertheless there is a slight improvement on this. And that could be why we're basically a profitable business. Our customers are happy and they want to come to us. And then finally we got our staff turnover, and that's also gone up. Now, is this a good or a bad thing? Well, it depends really. Potentially our website has caused some of the staff to leave, because potentially we don't need that staff anymore. So that there may be that we've just allowed people to leave and not replace them because customers can book online instead of having to come into the agency to be able to make those bookings. So that there may be a link between that. And we need to be aware that AAT quite like this. If you can link some of these ideas together, you can get good credit for doing that. But also it could be that we've had to let staff go because our overall performance is getting worse. So you remember our very first performance measure there is the average spend per customer. So customers are spending less, we have less money. So again, we may not have replaced staff who have left. Potentially, we're putting a lot of pressure on the staff to try and make more sales, and that pressure may be causing them to leave as well. Now, before we finish the debrief for this element of the question, we should be aware that in the marking scheme, there were various caps in place. So if you wanted to get a good score, if you wanted to get 9 out of 10, then you needed to discuss at least 5 of the 6 performance measures that were presented here. So you do need to have high volume. The examiner has given you 6 different performance measures. Try to talk about all of them if you want to do well in your answer. And then the last part of the question related to the balanced scorecard. So what is this balanced scorecard? What's the idea of it? Well, it's a scorecard because it's all to do with performance measurement. We're going to present a scorecard for the business where we'll have a number of measures, a number of numbers telling us how well we're getting on and how well are we performing. Now, what's the idea of it being a balanced scorecard? Because historically, the main issue with performance for companies was looking at their profit. So if they had high profits, they're doing well, and low profits, not doing very well. But the idea behind this balanced scorecard is that profit is not the only way to measure the performance of business. It may be that our profits go down in a particular year because we're focusing on other equally valid areas of the business. And some of these may be focusing on long-term benefits to the business. So we might be willing to make a short-term sacrifice of our profits to be able to gain long-term profits. But if we only focus on the profit for now, then potentially that short-sighted view doesn't give us a good idea of the overall performance. So here are the 4 standard perspectives in the balanced scorecard. In the real world, you could use 4 different ones if you wanted, but for exam purposes, we need to focus on the 4 that came with the original theory. So let's go through each of these as a bit of revision. The first one is the financial perspective. So we talked about profit being quite a key way of measuring a business's performance. And so that's still going to be relevant for us now, even though we want to get balance, but we shouldn't lose sight of the financial perspective. That we need to be making sales, we need to be making profit, we need to be successful from a financial point of view. But another way of looking at performance of the business is, are the customers happy? So if the customers are satisfied, then they're more likely to be buying from us and also buying from us again and again. So we need to measure how well are we dealing with customer satisfaction. Are we providing them with the products that they want? Are we satisfying their needs? The third one includes 2 different things. So you've got innovation and learning. So are we innovating? Are we coming up with new ways of doing things? Are we coming up with new products? Are we using technology effectively? And then in terms of learning, are we training our staff to become effective? Because if our staff are good at their jobs, they're more likely to satisfy our customers. And then from the internal perspective, we're looking at internal measures, which may include, for example, how much waste we're producing, how much time it takes us to do things, how efficient are we at doing things. Now notice that the bottom group of 3 potentially conflict with the first one. Because, for example, if we spend money on training our staff, which was a learning perspective, then that's going to be reducing our profits. If we spend time trying to make sure our internal processes are effective, there may be a short-term hit on our profits, but hopefully a longer-term improvement because of that efficiency. Now, the question was asking us to identify one performance indicator for this particular business. So let's think about the financial perspective first of all. Well, what we can do is look at any of the figures that have pound signs. So yes, the average spend per customer is a way of looking at our financial performance because it's looking at our sales. The bigger this number is, the better the business is doing. Then what about a customer focus? well, we can see the percentage of repeat customers. So if the higher that number is, the better we are doing. But we also have their feedback scores as well. What do the customers think about us? And again, the better that number is, the better we're doing. What about innovation and learning? So in terms of innovation, we see that we've increased the number of new destinations for the year. So that's a good thing, isn't it? We're coming up with new destinations, and that's going to be helping our business. Now, what about learning? Well, it may not be quite so easy to find a learning one here. So possibly we could talk about staff turnover, because if we're not investing in training the staff, potentially that's why they're leaving. But that may be a bit tenuous. And then finally, what about internal? Well, yes, that's perhaps a better one for us to use, our staff turnover, because we're looking at how well we're looking after our staff, and it suggests that we're not looking after them very well because it's getting worse, isn't it? But also we could think about our website and how well constructed that is. So that will be an internal measure for us.